Welcome to Hoptown Hoppers TV. I will go and apologize before we even get started. Once again, just like last Sunday, I'm sitting directly under a speaker. So if you hear music and loud names and stuff like that, that's because I'm sitting directly under the opposing team speaker. But I'm Ethan Alexander, and we are here as the Hoptown Hoppers take on the Henderson Flash. And today's starting lineup for your Hoppers is Kaito Muto playing shortstop, Robert Estrada playing right field, Luis Vergara in left field, Fred Fernandez playing catcher, Chase Cummings at third base, Dom Oliverio center field, Luis Villalba is playing DH, and Manuel Villalobos at first base, Sam Perkins at second. Your pitcher tonight for the Hoppers, Jack McGuire. We're ready to get started here as Kaito Muto steps to the plate. Apologize in advance for camera positioning. This is the best we could get. I'll go ahead and show that second cam. It's a little bit far to the left, but again, working with what we got out here. Luckily tonight the audio is working. I also don't have a great view of the strike zone here, so I'm not going to give my opinions too often as far as something being a strike or a ball. Hoppers, of course, in a 2-game win streak right now. I believe the Flash are as well. Both teams starting off slow, but getting their rhythm back here early in the season. Your pitcher for the Henderson Flash is Josh Coons. So that ball is hit deep towards center field, and the play will be made. And it looks like tonight we are getting the Fulton Railroaders treatment with the awful and horrendous sound effects. This is my first time at Henderson Flash's field. Henderson, Kentucky, of course. Every time we go to Fulton, those sound effects are atrocious, so it looks like we're going to be having to deal with that again tonight. Of course, Austin Powers starting off the soundboard early. That is a strike. The count is 0-1 for Robert Estrada, who's playing right field tonight. And of course, we have the glass breaking sound effect every time a foul ball is hit. I would hate that to be my job. And that ball is shot to the second baseman, or first baseman, who will beat Estrada to first base. All right, sounds like we're going to get Austin Powers saying, yeah, baby, yeah, after every single out. And then, yes, of course, we do have the cowbell to my right. That is not a sound effect. That is a physical cowbell. I can appreciate that one slightly more than the sound effects. And there will be, the cowbell will be all night. So I'm not going to pull a Blue Oyster Cult here and ask for more cowbell. That, of course, completely fine with the amount we have at the moment. Starting off with 2 balls here for Luis Vergara, of course, playing in his, I believe this is his 3rd game with the Hoppers this year. Returning player, played last year, was second in the OVL in home runs last year. Had a great first game with 2 doubles. That's a ball. 2 doubles and 3 walks. Last game not as hot, but hopefully he can get his rhythm back in this one. That one called a strike. 3-1 the count with 2 outs on the board. That one struck well towards center field, and it will drop for the single for Luis Vergara. Best thing about that is not that it was a hit, but in fact that we didn't have to hear Austin Powers. The Hoppers dug out into this game early. They're pretty loud here. Sounds like, honestly, the loudest they've been all season. So good to see the team camaraderie coming together. That ball high for a ball, or pitch high for a ball, should I say. 1-0 the count. Fred Fernandez currently at the plate, also a returning Hopper here. So today, returning Hoppers batting back-to-back. Fred Fernandez playing catcher for Hoptown tonight. Swings there. And the catcher tries to get Luis Vergara out at first, who had a big lead. He makes it back. Close one, though. Ball probably beat him. The first baseman not able to make the tag. The count 1-1 here with 2 outs on the board for Fred Fernandez. That one low for a ball. 2-1 the count with Chase Cummings, the third baseman, on deck. That ball will be swung on and it will go foul. Don't think anyone's making that one. That will land in the bullpen. And, of course, there's a sound effect for that one, too. So you have what sounds like a bomb dropping for that sound effect. So twos are wild here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs for Fred Fernandez. 1 runner on base being Luis Vergara. And that ball wild and towards the backstop. Vergara will move to second, and that'll be a ball. Full count here for Fred Fernandez. Luis Vergara in scoring position on second base. That ball fouled, landing in the flash dugout. And a new sound effect. Sounds just like a bell ringing there. I will give you the update on every new sound effect we hear tonight because I think they're absolutely awful, and I want you all to experience that with me. There is a ball hit towards the third baseman who will make the play. So, top of the first there. Hoppers do not score. 1 runner left on base. And we are going to move towards the bottom of the first and take a quick break so that you don't have to listen to Crazy Train. And tonight's pitcher for the Hoppers is Jack McGuire, who pitched in that win against the Full Count Rhythm last Sunday. Had a good outing that night as the Hoppers picked up their first win, a big one. That one was 6-1. I believe McGuire went through 4 innings scoreless, had a great night. Or I think he went 4 innings without giving up a hit as well. So a big night last Sunday for Illinois College's very own Jack McGuire. And, of course, behind the plate, Fred Fernandez, who has already batted once in this game. Crazy Train remains on. It popped off there for a second. That's when I got back on the mic, and then it started playing again. So looks like the folks up in the booth are having a ball with the soundboard tonight. We're seeing a new look in the infield as Chase Cummings plays his first game at third base. Sam Perkins plays his first at second base. And the first time we've seen Kaito Muto and Sam Perkins playing together in the infield. So an interesting look for the Hoppers. The outfield looks relatively the same with Luis Vergara playing left field, Dominic Oliverio in center, and then Robert Estrada in the right. All players who've played those positions so far this season. The first batter for the Flash will be Luke Scales, who is out of Bellarmine University. Says he's an infielder and a pitcher, so two-way player. And McGuire will get started off right with a strike to get ahead in the count early. That ball fouled off. And happy to hear that the sound effects will remain even though the home team is now batting. You'll love to see that. I wonder if the Austin Powers will play when they get out too. And that ball swung on, and that ball will be thrown to first. That's a strikeout for Jack McGuire, his first of the game. Now at the plate will be Jacob Lester, the shortstop, number 1 from Trevecca University. He will swing on that one. A strike there for McGuire. 0-1 the count for the second straight batter. That ball in the dirt for a ball, and the nope sound effect there, so a new one. Another new sound effect, just nope, for the ball in the dirt. There's another ball and another nope. So that won't get old, I'm sure. Jack McGuire might avoid throwing the ball in the dirt simply to not have to hear that. I sure hope he does. That ball, another ball, or that pitch, another ball for a 3-1 count. That ball will be hit towards Chase Cummings at third base, and the play will. He says he's safe there, but it sure looked like Villalobos tagged him. They're saying he was safe. So the Flash will have a runner at first there. Sure looked like a tag to me, but I don't have the best angle. That's actually false. I'm looking straight down the first baseline. I have a pretty good angle, so yeah, that looked like a tag to me. Here is Nathan Brewer, the center fielder for the Flash. No. A ball thrown to get this at-bat started for McGuire. And there's another ball thrown. And a new sound effect with just the word denied. This is absolutely atrocious. And it's not going to get annoying, of course. We are only in the bottom of the first inning here. There's another ball thrown. And another new sound effect that I'm sure you could hear. How many do they have? That's the question. And crickets. Crickets as well. So, just an absolute wonder of a soundboard they have in the booth up in Henderson. And another ball thrown. So that'll be a walk. Runners on second and first with one out on the board. And Brady Morse, the first baseman, will step up here. Morse is out of Bellarmine University as well, so second Bellarmine player we've seen today. That pitch, a strike. 0-1 the count here. McGuire up in the count for the third time in the bottom of the first. And the runner at second will try to steal, and he will be tagged out. The runner at first will move to second, but that is a good move there from Fred Fernandez. Don't know what the steal was, or what the plan really was there. He didn't look to have the speed to make it, and he is thrown out at third base by Fred Fernandez for the second out of the inning. That pitch was also a strike, so 0-2 the count with 2 on the board and a runner at second now. Much more advantageous position for Hoptown. And there's a strike, and that ball will be thrown to Villalobos at first, and he will be out. Another strikeout for Jack McGuire, and we will move to the top of the second inning. Score remains 0-0. And here at the top of the second, we have Chase Cummings, the third baseman, who joined the Hoppers later in the season. I want to say later in the season, but haven't been that many games played. Chase Cummings, of course, out of Long Beach State, who has played in most games, if not all, since he got here, but multiple different positions. And that pitch is a strike. I want to say Cummings has played 4 different positions now, or 3 positions and designated hitter. I think he played right field, first base, and third base. And that ball, very inside. Chase Cummings having to move out of the way, but it's called a strike. So 0-2 the count here for Chase Cummings. That ball is called a ball. 1-2 the count. That one looked much more like a strike than the second pitch. And that pitch swung on will be a foul. So Cummings stays alive. That's a wild pitch towards the backstop. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, no outs, of course. That pitch swung on for the strikeout and first out of the top of the second. That was the first strikeout for Josh Coons, the pitcher for the Flash, and Dominic Oliverio, the center fielder who hit the home run in the last game for the Hoppers, is stepping up to the plate now. That pitch tipped off the end of the bat, but ending up in the catcher's glove will be a strike. 0-1 the count with Luis Villalba on deck. That pitch fouled off. So 0-2 the count as Oliverio finds himself behind early. That pitch fouled off towards the backstop. This game against the Henderson Flash, of course, was supposed to take place yesterday, but some pretty torrential storm, not only in Hoptown, but also in Henderson, had the game canceled and moved to Monday, of course, today, a day that's normally an off day for these teams. And that pitch called a strike, so Oliverio will strike out as well. 2 strikeouts here to sit the first 2 batters down. Luis Villalba will step up to the plate. And Villalba, usually a catcher for the Hoppers, tonight is DHing. If you hear them say Villalba on the speakers, that is incorrect. It's Villalba. There's a ball, the first pitch. And there's an inside pitch for the second ball. Good eyes there from Luis Villalba. That pitch swung on, fouled left over the Hoppers dugout into a tree for the first strike of the at-bat for Luis Villalba. There's a low pitch. 3-1 the count. Villalba finds himself up early here. Villalba, who's been pretty solid at the plate all season long. And that is fouled into the netting, so a full count with 2 outs on the board, no runners on base. Those first 2 outs, of course, coming via strikeouts. Those being Chase Cummings and Dom Oliverio. That pitch is hit towards the second baseman, who will make the routine play at first. 3 up, 3 down for the Hoppers. We move to the bottom of the second. The score remains Hopper 0, Flash 0. We will be right back. And we are back, Hoptown Hoppers TV. This is Ethan Alexander. The first batter for the Henderson Flash in this bottom of the second inning is Caleb Niehaus, the third baseman, number 24, out of USI, University of Southern Indiana. We had multiple Southern Indiana players last year. Alex Archuleta and Rin Tachioka, both out of USI. That first pitch, a strike from Jack McGuire. And that is hit towards center field. It will drop for the single. So a single there from Niehaus. And now up for the Flash, Crawford Corville, the right fielder, number 20, out of LSU Eunice. And a pitch in the dirt there, so a ball with no outs and 1 runner on first base. McGuire will check up on that first base runner at, well, first. Doesn't get him, but brings him back, keeps him in check. Here, the second pitch to Corville. It swung on for a strike, so 1-1 the count here for Crawford Corville. That last single from Caleb Niehaus, the first hit given up by Jack McGuire this season. Of course, only having the one other outing, which he went 4 innings hitless. There is a fouled ball on the third pitch for a strike, so 1-2 the count as Corville finds himself behind here. McGuire, a lefty, has a good view of first base. And that looks like a good pitch. Definitely not as inside as that pitch called a strike earlier for Henderson, but either way, it's called a ball. 2-2 the count. No outs on the board, a runner at first. And the steal, and the runner at first will steal second as Fred Fernandez bobbles the throw, can't get it out, and it is a successful steal. And while that did happen, that was a strikeout for McGuire, so 1 out on the board now with a runner at second as Corville strikes out. McGuire's third strikeout of the game already. And Ellis Hurt, the left fielder, will step up to the plate. From Oakland City. I don't know if that's a college or university, but that ball is popped up towards center field, and Estrada will make the catch, but the runner will advance to third base as he's just a tad bit too far out to make the throw in. But 2 outs on the board. Runner at third. And this is Charlie Reif, the catcher, number 21, from Bellarmine as well. So 3 Bellarmine players on the lineup for the Flash. That is a strike, the first pitch. 0-1 the count. That pitch inside, a ball. 1-1 the count. Again, not quite as inside as that pitch called a strike earlier. I won't bring that one up all night, but that was pretty wild, I'll be honest with you. 1-1 the count. And that pitch swung on, fouled out of Fernandez's glove. So 1-2 the count, 2 outs on the board. Runner at third base here in the bottom of the second. Of course, the score remains 0-0, but the Flash are threatening. That is hit towards center field, and that ball will be down, hit the back of the fence, and that will be a double, and the runner will score. Just a rough look for the Hoppers there. Had them on the ropes with 2 strikes and 2 outs, and now they have a runner at second and a run on the board. As a good hit there from the catcher, Reif. Evan Jobert, here the second baseman, number 2 from LSU Eunice. So the second one of those players we've seen tonight out of LSU Eunice. The first pitch there is a ball. And that double lands directly in between Oliverio and Estrada. Perfectly hit out there to score the runner and put someone else in scoring position. That a ball, a low pitch from McGuire to get behind early. 2-0 the count for Jobert. That pitch, a strike. 2-1 the count, 2 outs on the board. A runner in scoring position at second base here in the bottom of the second inning. Jack McGuire on the mound, of course, who that last run was his first run given up this season. And that pitch is swung on, so 2s are wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and a runner on second. 2s all over the place. Here, Evan Jobert at bat currently. That pitch, a strikeout to send Jobert back to the dugout and the game to the third inning. The Flash do score in that one, but they also leave a runner on base. The score, Hopper 0, Henderson Flash 1. We will take a break and return for the third inning. And we are back. Hoptown Hoppers TV number 32, Manuel Villalobos, will lead off in the third inning for the Hoppers. Playing first base tonight. This will be his first at bat here in the third. Of course, the Hoppers sat down 1-2-3 last inning. That first pitch will be a strike. 0-1 the count here with Sam Perkins on deck, excuse me. That pitch swung on, so Villalobos finds himself behind early. 0-2 in the count. And that pitch swung on once again, so the quick strikeout against Villalobos. And of course, you love those sound effects that pop in and are louder than the actual PA announcer, so those are always lovely here as Sam Perkins steps up to the plate and will foul one off right away. 0-1 the count, 1 out on the board. Josh Coons remains on the mound here in the third inning for the Flash. And that ball popped up towards the second baseman, who will make the play. So 2 quick outs for the Hoppers as we return to the top of the lineup as Kaito Muto, the shortstop, will approach the plate. Muto, of course, hitting that deep ball towards center field at his first at-bat, was caught for an out, the first out of the game. That pitch is called a strike. 0-1 the count, 2 outs on the board. The Hoppers, of course, threatening here to sit 1, 2, 3 straight and 2 innings. And that ball hit to the second baseman, who will throw it. I was about to say, threw it towards the pitcher, who was just simply not standing on first base. So Muto will be safe at first. I don't know how they're arguing that one. Pitcher simply was not standing on the base. Was there for sure. I mean, that would have been an out if he was there, but was not on the plate, not on the base. So Muto reaches on an error, and Robert Estrada steps up to the plate. That ball fouled off into the Flash bullpen for the first strike of the at-bat. Muto, of course, a quick base runner, someone who will definitely threaten to steal, get a big lead off. He's quick. He likes to get back to first quick as well, so it's hard to take him out there at first. And just as I say that, the pitcher will try it, of course not getting him. Proving me right. And it's a little chilly out here. The rain yesterday seeming to quell the heat just a little bit, and a nice breeze coming through. That pitch will be swung on towards the third baseman, who will make the throw, and the throw will be bobbled. Muto will advance to third, and he will make it. Runners now on the corners for the Hoppers as the first baseman bobbles the catch at first to get Estrada out. That, of course, a hard catch off the ground, as the third baseman has to make that throw all the way from the plate. That ball hit directly over third base by Estrada. 2 outs here. Runners in both corners. Both runners reaching on errors, but the Hoppers threatening as Luis Vergara, who already has a single in this game, steps up to the plate. That ball, a strike. 0-1 the count, 2 outs on the board with Hoppers runners on first and third. Fred Fernandez on deck if Vergara can make it out here. That ball, a strike. And so 0-2 as Vergara finds himself behind early. That ball just a little wild, but the catcher able to make it there, but not before Estrada advances to second base. So 2 runners in scoring position here, Estrada and Muto. The count is 1-2. That ball fouled off for Vergara. He remains alive at the plate. 1-2 still the count. And the pitch is hit up. That ball popped up towards the right fielder, who will make the play. So 2 runners left on base there for Hoptown, both reaching on errors, no hits, and the score remains Hoppers 0, Flash 1. We move to the bottom of the third inning. I will be right back with Hoptown Hoppers TV. And here we are at the bottom of the third inning. Jack McGuire remaining on the mound, and we will see Luke Scales, the DH, who's also the top of the lineup for the Henderson Flash, who struck out in his first at bat. He will be approaching the plate here for Henderson, who are currently leading the Hoppers 1-0. That last inning, of course, or top of this inning, excuse me, the Hoppers leaving runners on third and second. 2 quick outs to start that inning. Would have been nice to have those back there, but one can only hope, and the Hoppers do not score. So 0-1 the score here as this game starts off pretty slow. And like I said, Luke Scales will approach the plate. The first pitch called a strike for Jack McGuire, who already has 4 strikeouts in this contest, 1 walk. That pitch just a little outside, so 1-1 the count here for Scales. That pitch hit well and gets past Muto, who tries to make the diving play. So a single for Luke Scales. The third hit of the game for the Flash. Of course, the Hoppers only with 1 hit so far. And Jacob Lester, who reached on an error in the first inning, will step up to the plate, the shortstop for the Flash. And the first pitch there will make it out of Fred Fernandez's glove. And the runner at first will advance to second. So a runner already in scoring position here with no outs on the board. The count right now 1-0. That pitch outside for the second ball, so 2-0. The count, still 0 outs on the board. That ball fouled into the netting. 2-1 the count. Nathan Brewer on deck, who walked in the first inning. That pitch also fouled off, so the count now even at 2. The runner still threatening at second base. That runner being Luke Scales, who hit the single to get this bottom of the third started for the Flash. That ball just a little high, so a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes here for Jacob Lester. That pitch high as well, so the second walk for McGuire, and there are runners on second and first base with no outs. And Nathan Brewer, who has already walked once in this game, stepping up to the plate. First pitch outside for a ball, 1-0 the count. So McGuire trying to find the strike zone here in the third inning. Already has 4, but struggling here in the third. Watching the runner at second with a decent lead. That pitch fouled into the dirt. 1-1 the count, now even. Brewer from Middle Tennessee State. Don't think I said that at his first at-bat. The center fielder tonight for the Flash. And the runner at second will try to steal the ball thrown to Cummings, and the ball gets loose. So that was a strike, but the runner will advance to third base. So runners in the corners with 0 outs here for the Flash. Oh, never mind. That was a ball, not a strike. So 2-1 the count. And that ball extra high. 3-1 the count, with Nathan Brewer threatening to load the bases here for the Flash with still no outs on the board. And that pitch in the dirt, so loaded bases for the Flash with the no outs on the board. And Fred Fernandez will go to talk with Jack McGuire, and so will the rest of the infield and Coach Mike Albin, the pitching coach for the Hoppers. Probably the right thing to do. And Brady Morse, who struck out in his first at-bat, will make his way to the plate. Nathan Brewer has already been walked twice in this game, so back-to-back walks from Jack McGuire loads the bases for the Henderson Flash, something that the Hoppers have seen an awful lot of this season, something that they've mostly avoided the past 2 games, and for the time being, they find themselves in a familiar situation, a situation that often is considerably more negative than it is positive. And everybody will return to their stations, and this ball game will continue. And I won't force you to listen to any more of the Muppets.
Number 16, from Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Brady Morris.
So 0 outs on the board and loaded bases here. Not a great position for the Hoppers. The first pitch is hit towards Cummings and makes it through Cummings and Muto. Vergara will try to shoot out the runner at home, and he doesn't make it there. But the runner at third base will be taken out. So the Hoppers get an out of that, but not before giving up 2 runs. So not what you want to see if you are the Hoptown Hoppers. Only 1 out and runners at second, or a runner at second, excuse me. That was a double for Brady Morse. That ball low. 1-0 the count. This is Caleb Niehaus, the third baseman, who already has a single in this game, at the plate. That pitch straight down the middle for a strike, as McGuire still searches for the strike zone there. So a straight down the middle pitch to find it. And excuse me for having that on the second camera angle. That last exchange there was needing of it, and that ball swung on. 1-2 the count, as Caleb Niehaus finds himself behind early here. That pitch swung on for the strikeout. So 2 outs now on the board for the Hoppers. And that was McGuire's 5th strikeout. And McGuire doing a good job to get strikeouts with 5 already, but he's also walked 3 and has given up 1, 2, 3, 4 hits already in this game. That first pitch is a ball for number 20, Crawford Corville, who struck out in his first at-bat. Runner still at second here. That pitch called a strike to even up the count, 1-1. That pitch very high for a ball. Fred Fernandez almost standing all the way up for that one. The runner staying at second there, a smart decision as Fernandez was already all the way on his feet. That pitch just a little high, but he's going to check. And that is called a ball, so 3-1 the count. 2 outs on the board. Jack McGuire here trying to stop the bleeding. 2 runs already scored for the Flash in this one. And that is another walk. So runners at first and second as Corville walks. Ellis Hurt, who I believe flew out at his first at-bat, is back at the plate. That pitch hit straight down the middle, and that'll score a runner. Yeah, and Oliverio doesn't even try to get that ball home, so the 4th run here for the Flash in the 3rd in this inning, and Mike Albin will reapproach the mound. I'm assuming this could be to get Jack McGuire out of the game, who has already thrown 5 hits. And I am blind in the bullpen, so I cannot see if anyone's warming up. And I was right. McGuire will approach the dugout. And Miles Green will be replacing, Jack McGuire here in the bottom of the 3rd with 2 outs. And I believe runners at second and first. 3 runs already scored here in the bottom of the 3rd for the Flash. Most of those coming from hits. A lot of the runs we've seen this year are given up by the Hoppers, resulting from walks, a couple walks, but mostly hits, as the Flash were able to find their rhythm there. And we will let Miles Green warm up and return to continue this 3rd inning. Hoptown Hoppers TV. And we will continue here. Miles Green, now the pitcher for the Hoppers. And up to bat is number 21, Charlie Reif, the catcher, who already has a double in this game. 2 outs on the board with runners at second and first for the Flash, who have already scored 3 runs here in the bottom of the third. And that first pitch is outside for a ball. We haven't got to see a lot of Miles Green so far this season. I think in short spurts, maybe 1 inning here and there, but not too many long outings for him. And there's another ball, that one in the dirt, low. Green out of Southwest Mississippi Community College. Only a freshman. That ball fouled off for a strike, or I guess a foul, but that'll be the first strike of the at-bat, so 2-1 the count. And that is swung on for the second strike. So 2s are wild here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and 2 runners on base. Second and first runners on both of those bases. 3 runs already scored for the Flash. And Charlie Reif at the plate, too, like I said, has already hit a double in this game. That pitch is high. So the full count here. 3 balls, 2 strikes for Miles Green. And the runner at second is doing a bit of dancing to distract Green. Threatening to steal third here with 2 outs. And he will steal third. And there is the third strike. So a strikeout for Miles Green will stop the bleeding and end the inning. We will go to the 4th inning here. The Flash scoring 3 runs in that bottom of the third. And I'm not even going to count the hits because there was 4 or 5. I will return at the top of the 4th inning with Hoptown Hoppers TV. And we return here at the top of the 4th inning. The score, Hoptown Hoppers 0, Henderson Flash 4. Not Luis Vergara, excuse me. Fred Fernandez will step up to the plate. And the first pitch there, a strike. Fernandez, I believe, was caught out at first, or thrown out at first, excuse me, in his first at-bat here. And that is hit very well towards center field for a single from Fred Fernandez. So starting off right here in the 4th inning as the Hoppers get a runner on first base. And now Chase Cummings will step up to the plate. Chase struck out in his first at-bat. And he will try to lay down a bunt, but he will take it back. That ball in the dirt. So the count is 1-0 with 0 outs. Josh Coons remains on the mound for the Flash. That is a super high and inside ball called a strike. Wow. That one just in no dimension is a strike. Usually don't say all that, but man, that one was not even close. That's the second pitch call, second strike called against Chase Cummings. That was just clear as day, a ball. That first one was at his first at bat when he had to get out of the way. I mean, it was an inside pitch called a strike, and then that one, inside and high, called a strike. He fouls that one off 1-2, the count with no outs on the board. That, another foul there for Cummings as he stays alive here. Will fight to try to not be the first out of the inning here for the Hoppers. Dom Oliverio, of course, on deck, who already has a home run in the last game. The only home run for the Hoppers so far this season. And that ball hit towards the third baseman, who will make the play at second, but the play will not be made at first. So Fred Fernandez is out at second, but Chase Cummings will make it to first on fielder's choice. One out on the board. And Dominic Oliverio, as I said, will approach the plate, number 10, out of Indiana State. And that is a high ball. He called that a strike? Never mind. What in the world? What is going on? I mean, the catcher was standing all the way straight up. And that ball is hit well, but it is hit towards the center fielder, who will make the catch. So 2 outs here for the Hoppers as Luis Villalba will step up to the plate.
For the Hoppers, number 35, the designated hitter, Luis Villalba.
One runner being Chase Cummings at first base, but 2 outs on the board here as Luis Villalba will swing on the first pitch. 0-1 the count. Villalba, a switch hitter, is batting left as of right now. And a check swing there will be called a strike. So 0-2 the count. 2 outs on the board. That ball will be fouled behind the Hoppers dugout, so the count will remain the same as Villalba survives. The DH, normally a catcher, he's been batting well this season and is a switch hitter, so gives the Hoppers a little bit of versatility. A good hitter here, DHing for the Hoppers tonight, flew out in his first at-bat. That ball just slightly outside. 1-2 the count. 2 outs on the board here in the top of the 4th inning. And that ball is a ball, but that is called Chase Cummings stealing second base. I mean, he was out. He got tagged. I'm not going to complain about that one, but umpire's off to a little bit of an iffy start here early in this one. Maybe a makeup call there for those questionable strikes we've seen. So Chase Cummings at second base, and that ball is inside for another strike. This interesting, to say the least, from the home plate umpire, who has called 4 strikes now that just plain as day were not strikes. And Villalba stunned after that one, standing in the box for a moment there with his jaw on the floor. But nonetheless, we move to the bottom of the fourth inning, and the score remains Hoptown Hoppers 0, Henderson Flash 4. And we return here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Miles Green remains on the mound for the Hoppers, and Evan Jobert, the second baseman who struck out in his first at-bat, will approach the plate. The score remaining 4-0 in favor of the Henderson Flash. The first pitch inside for a ball. 1-0 the early count here for Green. That pitch inside as well, so Green falling behind early 2-0. No outs on the board. Jobert, I don't know. I know the Bear part. I'm not sure if it's Joe or Yo at the beginning. Fouls that one off. 2-1 the count. On deck is Luke Scales, who had that single to get last inning started. That inning, of course, ending up with 3 runs scored for the Flash. So a monumental hit there from Scales. And that ball swung on, tipped off. 2-2 to even up the count for Green. And a broken bat will send that ball to Kaito Muto, who will make the play at first base for the first out. And we have a bat split straight down the middle there. Probably the most broken one we've seen so far this season. And Luke Scales will approach the plate. Scales, of course, like I said, had that single in his last at-bat, had a strikeout in his first one. So 1 out on the board here for the Hoppers, or for the Flash, I guess, but no runners on base. And Luke Scales, the DH, at the plate. Will hit that one to Chase Cummings at third, who will make the throw to first. Good play there for the second out. A hard throw, looked pretty routine for Cummings at third base. And Villalobos standing strong at first for the catch. So 2 outs here, and Jacob Lester, the shortstop, will step up to the plate. Reached in his first at-bat on an error and then walked in his last one. That was, of course, the first of 2 walks back-to-back in the third inning that kind of led to some of those runs. And that first pitch is a check swing, and it's called a strike from the first base umpire. the second pitch low. So 1-1 the count here early. Green taking on Jacob Lester. That pitch inside and high. 2 balls, 1 strike. 2 outs with no flash runners on base. That pitch outside, so 3-1 the count as Jacob Lester threatens to walk for the second straight at-bat of his. But 2 outs on the board, so Hopper's not in a bad spot here. That pitch is popped up towards left field, and Luis Vergara will make the play. So 3 up, 3 down for the Henderson Flash as we move to the top of the 5th inning. No hits, no runners left on base, no errors. The score remains Henderson Flash 4, Hoptown Hoppers 0. We will return in just a moment. And we are back here at the top of the 5th inning. Manuel Villalobos of the Hoppers will step up to the plate. Adam Wyhe, the new pitcher for the Flash out of University of Southern Indiana. And that will be hit towards the shortstop, who bobbles the ball, and Villalobos will be safe at first base to get things started, beating out the throw. So a good at-bat there. First pitch swing from Manuel Villalobos, and Sam Perkins will now step on the plate. First pitch, a strike. 0-1 the count. That one just a tad bit inside. Not as bad as we've seen a few of these strikes called. And that ball swung on, goes straight to the pitcher, who will make the throw to second. The throw will be made to first, and the double play there from the Flash to halt the Hoppers' progress. And we are back at the top of the lineup as Kaito Muto will step to the plate. Just unlucky there as the pitcher shows some good reflexes to grab that ball on the bounce. And again, just a little unlucky. Villalobos not the quickest runner, and Perkins just barely thrown out at first. That ball in the dirt, so 1-0 the early count here for Kaito Muto, who reached last at bat on an error. That ball inside, so 1-0 the count as Muto gets up early here. That straight down the middle for a strike. 2-1 the count, 2 outs. On the board here in the top of the 5th inning, Robert Estrada on deck if Muto can make it through. And that ball swung on, so 2s are wild. Once again, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs with no runners left on base, or no runners on base currently, excuse me. And the pitch, and it is swung on for the strikeout. Muto will head to the dugout, 3 up, 3 down for the Hoppers after the double play since Villalobos and Perkins packing. And we move to the bottom of the 5th inning as the score remains Hoppers 0, Henderson Flash 4. We will be right back. And we return here for the bottom of the 5th inning. Jacob Dilday of Wren Lake College now on the mound replacing Miles Green. Dilday has been one of the more solid relievers for the Hoppers this season. And he will take over here in the 5th inning to hopefully quell the Henderson offense, who didn't score last inning but had 3 runs in the 3rd and 1 in the 2nd to make the score 4-0 like it currently sits. And first up to bat for the Flash will be Nathan Brewer, the center fielder, who has already walked twice in this game, hoping to stop that trend now. And that ball will be popped up foul. Chase Cummings will run to try to make the play, and he will. So first pitch out there for Jacob Dilday, and a good play from Chase Cummings to track that one down. 1 out on the board. Nathan Brewer sits down after only 1 pitch, and Brady Morse, who had the double in his last at-bat, will approach the plate. And that ball low, so 1-0 the count here early. And that looked like a good pitch to me, but it's called a ball. Looked straight down the middle from here. Obviously, I don't have a great angle, but looked pretty good. So 2-0 the count early as Morse finds himself in an early advantage. And that pitch is high. So 3-0 the early count here. Morse threatening to walk. And that pitch, just like the second one, is thrown straight down the middle, but this time it's called a strike. 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. That pitch high and inside, so Morse will walk. And Caleb Niehaus, who struck out in his last at-bat but had a single in his first, will step up to the plate with a runner on first. 1 out on the board. That pitch swung on for a strike. 0-1 the early count here. And Dilday will check the first base runner, and he makes it back in time. 0-1 the count remains. And that pitch straight down the middle, a pretty pitch, 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here for Jacob Dilday facing off against Caleb Niehaus. And that pitch hits straight down the middle, and it will make it through. Luis Vergara protects it and picks it up. So runners on first and second here as Niehaus has a single, his second of the game. And number 20, Crawford Corville, will approach the plate, and Fred Fernandez, the catcher, will approach the mound to chat with Dilday. Corville in this game has a strikeout and a walk. Was one of those walks, I believe, in the third inning that led to some of those runs. And Corville will get his walk-up music twice, so how about that? First pitch is a straight down the middle, for at least it looked like it from here. Again, not the greatest angle, maybe a little bit on the outside, not like outside, but you know what I mean, for the first strike. 1 out, of course, on the board, runners at second and first. Second pitch, the exact same spot for the second strike, so 0-2 as Dilday finds himself up early in this count, and Corville finds himself behind. Runner at second doing a little bit of dancing. And that pitch swung on for the strikeout. 3 straight strikes will sit down Corville and will bring up Ellis Hurt. A nice pitch there from Jacob Dilday for the second out, and the Hoppers threatening to go 2 innings here without giving up a run. And the flash will send up Ellis Hurt, who has a hit in this game. I didn't write down if it was a single or a double, but a hit nonetheless. And the first pitch, a ball. That pitch fouled off 1-1. The count with 2 outs on the board. Runners at second and first. Jacob Dilday on the mound. Dilday pitched in that win against the Fulton Railroaders on Wednesday. Or no, not Wednesday. He pitched on Friday. And that ball will be hit to third base. Chase Cummings will outrun the runner, and 30 outs here. No run scored, 2 left on base, and I believe 1 hit. We will move to the top of the 6th. The score remains Hopper 0, Henderson Flash 4. We are back here for the top of the 6th inning, and Robert Estrada is at the plate, and that is hit very well towards left field, and the left fielder will make the catch. So first pitch swing there from Estrada, a well-hit ball, but just not in a great spot, and that'll be the first out of the top of the 6th inning for the Hoppers, and Luis Vergara will step up to the plate. Luis has a single in this game, but in his last at-bat he was caught out. And he will try to lay down a bunt, but it tips off, and it will be an 0-1 count early. Adam Wyhe, still the pitcher for the Flash, has 1 strikeout in this game already. And there's a wild pitch, so 1-1 the count for Vergara. And that ball is popped up high, but not as deep as it needs to be, and it's going to go to the left fielder once again, who will make the play once again. So first 2 batters for the Hoppers are caught out at left field, and Fred Fernandez will step up to the plate now with 2 outs on the board and no runners on base in the top of the 6th inning. Fernandez had a single in his last at-bat. That pitch outside for a ball, 1-0 the early count. And that ball is hit well towards center field, but he makes the catch too. So 3 outfield fly balls will retire 3 straight Hoppers, and the score remains Henderson Flash 4, Hoptown Hoppers 0. And I'll take this moment to name off some of our Hopper season sponsors, those being Jones Brothers, White's Auto Mall, Chick-fil-A, Huggard Beard and Giles, Planters Bank, Oak Grove Racing and Gaming, the City of Hopkinsville, Penny Ryle Electric, HWEA, Charlie Henderson State Farm, WHVO, Bikes and More, All Clean Services, Higgins Insurance, and Super Lawn and Garden. Thank you for supporting the Hoppers this season. As we move to the bottom of the sixth inning, Jacob Dilday remains on the mound, and I won't take a break just because if I do, it'll be about 15 seconds. So for the Henderson Flash, we will be seeing Charlie Reif, the catcher, who had a strikeout in his last at-bat, but a double in his first. The Flash here tonight with not too many people in attendance, but it is a Monday night, so can't be too harsh. They have a nice ball field out here, and there's a few Hoppers fans, some parents. I believe Gavin Baxter's parents and Jacob Dilday's parents are both in attendance, so getting to see their son pitch tonight. And Dilday had a strikeout and a walk in the his first inning pitched. But he left with no runs allowed. Here's his second inning here in the sixth. And like I said, we will see number 21, Charlie Reif, the catcher, step up to the plate. And we see Gavin Baxter come in at third base for Chase Cummings, so there's a defensive substitution, and who is that at shortstop? Is not Kaito Muto, but I can't tell who it is from here. That ball wild in the dirt. If I had to guess, I would say Carter Hood, but that may be Chase Cummings at second or at shortstop. I can't tell. And they may have just moved him over and then put Baxter at third. That pitch popped up towards right field, and Robert Estrada, who will make the play. So one out, the first out of the bottom of the sixth for the Hoppers. And Evan Yobert will step up to the plate, who hasn't been able to find success tonight, struck out and caught out already in this game. One out on the board here in the bottom of the sixth. And that pitch is a strike. 0-1 the early count. Looking for any more defensive substitutions, and I think that was it. Baxter at third. And from here, that looks like Chase Cummings at second base. That ball popped up to Sam Perkins, who will make the catch. So efficient pitching here early from Jacob Dilday. Two fly balls caught, and Luke Scales will step up to the plate, back at the top of the lineup here for the Henderson Flash. That pitch looked a little high, but called a strike. 0-1 the early count once again. Here against Scales, who already has a single in this one, but has also struck out and flied out. That pitch just low and outside, so 1-1 the count evened up. 2 outs on the board. No runners on base. And that pitch swung on, so 1-2 the count here, with Jacob Dilday threatening to send this to the 7th inning. And that ball popped to Dilday, who will make the throw to Villalobos, who steps on first. 3 up, 3 down for the Flash, and we head to the 7th inning. The score remains Hoptown Hoppers 0, Henderson Flash 4. And we are back at the top of the 7th inning. And I was right, that was Chase Cummings at shortstop. So he will be up to bat now. Adam Wyhe, still the pitcher for the Flash. This will be his 3rd inning pitched. Has, of course, allowed no runs because the Hoppers have no runs, and Chase Cummings has struck out in this game and reached on a fielder's choice. That first pitch is swung on for a strike. Second pitch low for a ball, so the count is even at 1 apiece. And Dom Oliverio is on deck. That pitch swung on once again, so with a count 1-2. And that pitch, tad bit outside. Cummings doesn't agree, but he will be sat down with the strikeout for the first out of the top of the 7th, and Dom Oliverio will approach the plate. Some questionable strikes tonight from the home plate umpire. That's not the worst we've seen tonight. That ball, from where I'm sitting, couldn't really tell if it was a ball or a strike, but there's been a few that were called strike that were definitely not. And that one's definitely a strike as it's swung on by Oliverio. A really slow pitch there. Just needing some more plate discipline here from some of the Hoppers who are just itching to swing. And once again, that one just a little bit quicker, but same result as Oliverio swings and finds himself behind early here, 0-2 in the count with 1 out on the board. And a single there from Dom Oliverio. Luis Villalba approaches the plate. 1 out still. Oliverio with a good job to get on base there despite the fact he starts out 0-2 in the count. And Villalba here, who has struck out today, hasn't made his way to base yet, but we'll start this one off with a ball. That ball hit towards the second baseman who makes the throw, and the throw will also be made to first. So another double play will sink the Hoppers here in the top of the 7th, and we move to the 7th inning stretch. And of course, the bottom of the 7th, we will return with Hoptown Hoppers TV. And here we are, the bottom of the 7th inning. Landon Klein will take over the mound for Jacob Dilday, who pitched pretty well, assuming they're just trying to save that arm so they can pitch him as much as possible. Landon Klein, of course, from Madisonville, so almost a local of Hoptown, and he will take over here in the bottom of the 7th and throws a ball right out of the gate. For the Flash is number 1, Jacob Lester, who has reached on an error and a walk, but was out in his last at-bat, and that ball is high, so 2-0 the early count here as Lester finds himself ahead. We haven't seen a ton of Landon Klein this season. This is probably his second or third appearance. I know for a fact I've seen him twice, but I did miss that one game at Clarksville, so he may have pitched that night. And that pitch inside, so 3 balls here early for Klein as he tries to find his rhythm and the strike zone. That pitch, a strike. So 3-1 here for the Hoppers and Landon Klein. That pitch, I guess just a little outside, looked like a strike from here. That will be a runner on first base. And Nathan Brewer, who's walked twice already, will step up to the plate. That ball high and outside. 1-0 the early count here against Brewer. A runner on first base reached on a walk. That ball high. 2-0 the count for Klein here. Bottom of the 7th inning. The score has been 4-0 since the 3rd inning when the Flash scored 3 runs. Of course, the first run coming in the 2nd. That ball popped up high. And the center fielder, Dom Oliverio, will run in to make the play. So 1 out on the board with a runner remaining at first base, and number 16, Brady Morse, will step up to the plate.
Stepping for the Flash, number 16, Brady Morris.
Morse hit a double early in this game and walked in his last at-bat, has also struck out today, so a little bit of everything from Brady Morse. And the runner will make the run to second, and Landon Klein just throws the ball straight over Sam Perkins. So should have caught that runner, and ends up having a runner on second. So a runner now in scoring position for the Flash. And for that steal, we get back-to-back Simpson sound effects. So that pitch is called a ball. I'm starting to wonder how big this soundboard actually is. It's actually, beginning of this game, I was, a little annoyed by it. Now I'm starting to become impressed. I didn't know you could fit this many on a soundboard. The count is 1-0 early here, and Fred Fernandez will approach the mound, and so will pitching coach Mike Alpin. And like I said, I'm sitting in a spot where I can't see the bullpen, so I don't know if anybody's warming up. I'm sure they have somebody in there throwing, but I couldn't tell you. And I also can't see the Flash bullpen very well either. I can see the backside of it, but that's just about it. But Klein will remain on the mound and will continue taking on Brady Morse here. That pitch swung on for a strike. 1-1 the count with 1 out on the board. A runner still in scoring position at second base. Here in the bottom of the 7th inning, it's a little chilly outside. The sun's gone down, and probably the coldest I've felt so far this season. That pitch is inside for a ball, so 2-1 the count here for Brady Morse, who walked in his last at bat, so threatening to do the same here. That pitch popped up to Manuel Villalobos, who will make the catch. So the second out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. A runner still on second base, but the Hoppers in a better position than it looked like they may be. And number 24, Caleb Niehaus, will walk up to the plate. He already has 2 singles in this game as well as a strikeout. So not who you want to see here with a player in scoring position, but 2 outs on the board, bottom of the 7th inning. Landon Klein, of course, on the mound still. Throws that pitch is hit towards Robert Estrada, who will make the catch and send this game to the 8th inning. 1 runner left on base. And the score remains the same. Hoptown Hoppers 0, Henderson Flash 4. We will return in the top of the 8th inning from Henderson, Kentucky. And we are back here in the top of the 8th inning. A new pitcher for the Henderson Flash, Lucas Quezada from Lee University, teammates with the Hoppers' very own Gavin Baxter. And Quezada will take over here in the 8th inning. Manuel Villalobos at the plate for the Hoppers. And that first pitch wild towards the backstop. It actually, oh, never mind. Villalobos is going to chase that one down and hand to the pitcher. I thought he had been hit by the pitch or something to the effect, but no, he just wanted to grab the ball and help out the other team there. Some sportsmanship from Villalobos. That ball inside, so 2 balls to get things started here. 2-0 the count. Villalobos had a single in his last at-bat, struck out in his first one. That pitch, a strike, so 2-1 the count. That pitch high. 3-1 the count here for Manuel Villalobos, who is a player who has liked to swing this game, but this season, but like to see some plate discipline from him here. Maybe try to get the walk. And that is low and outside, so he does just that. Manuel Villalobos will walk to first base, and Sam Perkins will approach home plate. So Perkins has been thrown out twice in this game, I believe. I think maybe that first one was a fly out. He was part of that double play, him and Villalobos. That ball outside, so 1-0 the early count for Perkins. Hoppers would like to see some offense here in the 8th, because if not, they'll only have one more chance to get it done. That pitch called a strike, but looked high to me. Perkins, of course, on the shorter side doesn't have as big of a strike zone, so that goes across his face and still called a strike. Same exact pitch this time, called a ball. So a little bit of inconsistency here from a home plate umpire that hasn't been too great tonight. And that pitch fouled off to even up the count 2-2 for Sam Perkins. And the pitch is just outside. 3-2, a full count for Sam Perkins facing off against Lucas Quezada. And that ball extra high will send Perkins to first base. Runners at second and first as we head back to the top of the lineup. Gavin Baxter will step up to the plate, replacing Kaito Muto in the lineup, but replacing Chase Cummings at third, who moved over to shortstop, and Muto came out of the game, and they will have a meet-up at home, or the mound, as they want to chat with Quezada, who has walked 2 here. Quezada will remain on the mound, and Gavin Baxter will have his first at-bat of the day. Baxter, a very, very good base runner, one of the better hitters on the team as well, and a second-year Hopper. Told me today was his off day, but it looks like he's going to play anyways, and he's facing off against his teammate on the mound, both of these players from Lee University in Clarksville. Or not Clarksville, but Gavin from Clarksville. A ball there. Villalobos at second, Perkins at first, both reaching on a walk. And a foul there to even up the count. 1-1 early. Robert Estrada on deck. Would love to see him step up here with no outs and loaded bases as the Hoppers try to get some offense going in the 8th inning. That pitch is low, and the catcher tries to throw out Perkins at first base, but Villalobos will advance to third base, and Perkins safe at first, so runners on both corners. And the count is 2-1 for Gavin Baxter at the plate. So the Hoppers in an advantageous position here in the top of the 8th inning.
Go, Gavin.
And that ball in the dirt, 3-1 the count. as Gavin Baxter threatens to load the bases here.
Gotta be you.
And the swing from Baxter and a miss, so full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes, no outs with runners on both corners. Here in the 8th inning, Gavin Baxter facing off against his teammate, Lucas Quezada. And he will foul that one off to stay alive. So way to work from Baxter, waiting to either get a hit here or most likely watch a wild pitch. Quezada walking both of the runners currently on base. And he will swing at that one, a strikeout. That ball was outside, but Baxter trying to stay alive will swing and miss. So 1 out on the board, and Robert Estrada steps up to the plate.
Go, Rob. You do, Rob.
Trying to bring at least 1 run here for the Hoppers. Villalobos at third base, Perkins at first. And that ball super inside for a ball, 1-0 the early count. Estrada having to get out of the way of that one. You selfishly sometimes want him to wear those just to get the bases loaded, but moves out of the way, 1-0 the count. Runners on both corners. And that's another low pitch, 2-0 the early count here for Estrada. We like to see some plate discipline from him to potentially be the 3rd walk of the inning. And Quezada will tie his shoe, and we will get a little pause in the action. Robert Estrada reached on error earlier in this game, but has hit out to outfield twice for outs, and he swung on that one. So 2-1 the count for Estrada. That would have been a low pitch, had to get down for that ball and misses. So 2-1 the count, 1 out on the board, 2 runners on base. And he will swing on that one as well. It will bounce off the catcher, who kind of hops off. That may have hit his hand or some arm, possibly hurt a little bit. So the count even, 2-2 after Estrada found himself up early, 2-0. He finds himself here fighting. And he swings on that one. It'll pop up to center field. Probably not deep enough for Villalobos to run it, but he will, and that ball will go to the catcher, but Villalobos decides to stay at third, but Perkins will advance to second. So 2 runners in scoring position now, but 2 outs on the board. We will need some heroics from Luis Vergara,
Go, Luis.
who already has a single in this one, but has 2 outs in his last 2 at-bats, single in his first one there in the first inning. Could bring in both runners here. Perkins on second, Villalobos on first. And that ball high and inside. Vergara having to dodge it. 1-0, the early count. Fred Fernandez on deck. And there's a strike to even up the count. 1-1 with 2 outs on the board, 2 runners on base. Hoppers need some offense here. If they don't get it here, they'll have to do it in the 9th. And that's easier said than done. And that ball called a strike, but it was high.
You got to be kidding.
And Luis finds himself here in a 1-2 count with 2 outs on the board. And another high pitch there. This time, one called a ball, and 2's wild. 2-2-2. That pitch in a similar spot as the last one just came in a little bit quicker. That one called a ball. The last one got a strike. Luis Vergara fighting here in the top of the 8th. And that pitch called a strike, the strikeout. Luis is going to talk to the umpire, who has just been, and I'll say it, horrible all night. We will return in the bottom of the 8th as the Hoppers try to keep the score at 4-0. And we are back with Hoptown Hoppers TV as Trent Youngberg takes the mound from Landon Klein here in the bottom of the 8th inning. As the score remains 4 Flash, Hoppers 0. And we will see number 20, Crawford Corville, step up to the plate. Trent Youngberg, who is making his 3rd appearance on the season, coming in the 8th inning. Fresh arm from Muskingum University. And a strike right out of the gate. 0-1 the count for Youngberg. And that pitch is swung on, or a check swing, but he breaks it, breaks the barrier. So 0-2 the count here for Youngberg. And that ball high. So 1-2 the count. Hoppers trying to keep the score the same here so they have a chance in the 9th, but it'll be a tough one. And that ball will hit the batter who makes his way to first base. Number 5, Ellis Hurt, will step up to the plate. We'll hit that one directly at Youngberg, who gets out of the way. And the double play. Whoa! And never mind, just the runner at second is taken out. Sure looked like the ball beat the runner at first too, but called safe. So a runner remains at first, but an out on the board. And Charlie Reif, the catcher, will step up to the plate. Trent Youngberg there with a flexible maneuver to make his way out of that fastball coming right at him. And a ball thrown there in the dirt.
Now it's got to be up in his eyes before we call it a strike.
And another one in the dirt. This one blocked by Fernandez, who will make the third or second, but the runner will beat it. So 2-0 the count, a runner at second, one out on the board.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
And Fred Fernandez will approach the mound to talk with Youngberg.
Here is failure to communicate.
Let's get going.
2-0 the count for Youngberg. Another one in the dirt there. And another try at second will miss him again, but the count is 3-0 now. Threatening to walk a runner here, or a batter here, excuse me, with one out on the board. Fred Fernandez doing a good job to block these pitches, keep it in play, keep the runner at second. That pitch inside, so a walk will leave runners at second and first. And number 2, Evan Jobert, will step up to the plate.
Now you got the force. Turn 2.
Jobert has not reached base tonight. A strikeout and 2 outs in this one. And the runner will go to third base, and Fernandez will trip. Hopefully he's okay. I think he twisted his ankle on that one. So people come out to check on Fred. So Fred will walk back and get assisted into the dugout. I believe he twisted his ankle there trying to stand up and throw that ball to third. The runner will advance to third, and the one on first will advance to second. So 2 runners in scoring position here with 1 out on the board. Reed Douglas will come into the game to replace Fernandez. And he will chat with Youngberg to get on the same page early here. Looks like the umpires will go and chat with the Flash dugout in regards to something said whenever Fernandez went down there.
Go, Reed.
And Reed Douglas will see some warm-up pitches here. Coming in the bottom of the 8th inning, he was not expecting to play in this game, but Fernandez goes down with, I believe, was a twisted ankle, and I'm hoping he's okay. Evan Jobert will remain at the plate. The count is 2-1. Is it? No, that's 2 is his number. Count 1-1 then. No, I'm lost on the count right now because the scoreboard is a little iffy. But there's 2 strikes for sure. I just don't know how many balls. That pitch fouled. I think there's 2 balls. We're just going to leave it like that for now, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But the scoreboard here is deep and a little confusing because I think the player number is the far side. Because Jobert is number 2, and there's a 2 on the far left side. That pitch in the dirt, and a good job from Douglas to keep it that way. Yeah, and the scoreboard doesn't change after that ball, so a little confused as far as says. I know there's 2 strikes, though, so I'm not going to give you the count, but the pitch there is hit towards the second baseman who's going to make the play at home, or not home, excuse me, first base. So our run will come in, making it 5-0 in favor of the Henderson Flash, but 2 outs now on the board for the Hoppers defense as number 15, Luke Scales, will step to the plate. Could possibly be the final Flash player we see bat tonight if the Hoppers can't get it done on the top of the 9th. And a pitch and a strike thrown there, excuse me, by Trent Youngberg to get things started off 0-1. That ball just outside. A pretty pitch, though, but not swung on. So 1-1 the count. 2 outs on the board. Runners at third. Excuse me, I was about to say third and second, but just third. And that ball hit towards left field, and Luis Vergara will make the play. So we are heading to the 9th inning to see if the Hoppers can get it done and come back in this game. It's Flash 5, Hoptown Hoppers 0. We will return for the 9th inning. And we are back here, the top of the 9th inning. We have a new pitcher for the Flash, Luke Scales, who, if you remember that name, has been batting off as the leadoff hitter all night for the Flash. So the DH will now pitch for the Flash, two-way, obviously. And Reed Douglas will now hit for the Hoppers, replacing Fred Fernandez, who went down with what I believe is a twisted ankle in the bottom of the 8th. Reed Douglas making his first appearance at the plate. And that ball's outside, 1-0, the early count. Hoppers have to get it done here, down 5-0. And another ball thrown. 2-0 the count. Reed Douglas finds himself up early. And another low pitch, 3-0. So would like to see some plate discipline here from Reed Douglas. Try to get somebody on base for the Hoppers, who haven't been able to get much done tonight. And there it is, 4 straight balls will send Reed Douglas to first base and will bring Chase Cummings to the plate, who has been a victim of some bad calls tonight from the home plate umpire. Has struck out twice on some iffy strike calls and will make another appearance here in the top of the 9th. Reached once earlier in his second at bat on fielder's choice. And will lay down a bunt there. Will go to the pitcher who makes the play at second, but Cummings will make it to first. So same position, but one out on the board as Cummings lays down the bunt and Reed Douglas is thrown out at second. Cummings will reach on fielder's choice once again, and Dominic Oliviero will step up to the plate. Earlier during his at-bat, you heard someone say that he couldn't hit a watermelon with a ironing board. He proceeded to get a hit. So we shall see what he does here, and he will do the exact same thing straight down the middle, just like he did last time. And Reed Douglas will, or not Reed Douglas, excuse me, Chase Cummings will run all the way to third base with some speed. So runners on the corners, one out on the board. Oliverio with another single. And Luis Villalba, the DH, will now step to the plate. The pitcher tries to check Oliverio at first. And that pitch fouled off into the netting. So 0-1 the early count here for Villalba. Runners on the corners for Hoptown after that good run from Chase Cummings to make his way all the way from first to third. And Oliverio will steal second. So 2 runners in scoring position now. As quick, or a smart move there from Oliverio and some good base running. And Villalba with the 2-1 count will pop that one foul territory to even up the count 2-2. Or never mind, 1-2. I'm just following the scoreboard at this point. It's a little bit iffy. Maybe if they spent more time on the scoreboard instead of the soundboard, it would be a little bit easier to follow. And that one fouled off into the dirt. We need this from Luis Villalba, who's been a solid hitter all season for the Hoppers. And he swings there, and he will strike out. So 2 outs on the board and 2 runners on base as Manuel Villalobos will step up to the plate. The Hoppers only have 1 more out in this game, so Villalobos is needed here. No other option. And he will hit that one, and it will be down. And that'll bring in Cummings for sure, and Oliveria will score too. So 2-run score for the Hoppers, and a beautiful hit there. A single from Manuel Villalobos will land him on first base and bring in 2 runs. A first pitch swing there from Villalobos, and Sam Perkins will step up to the plate.
Keep it going.
And that ball thrown straight down the middle for a strike. And the pitcher checks Villalobos at first base, but he will not be caught. And that ball, another one thrown straight down the middle. So 0-2 the count for Sam Perkins, and he will need to make it through here if the Hoppers have a chance. All 20 of the Flash fans on their feet, and he will swing and strike out for the final out of the game. The final score, Henderson Flash 5, Hoptown Hoppers 2. And the Hoppers will return to action tomorrow as they take on the Madisonville Miners in Madisonville. We will see you then as the game will be streamed on Hoptown Hoppers TV. Thank you for joining us tonight. I've been Ethan Alexander. This has been Hoptown Hoppers TV, and we'll see you tomorrow.